This is the mayor of Mgtow. Got a little something different for you guys today. Got another video in my Mgtow wealth building series. I hope this video nudges a few of you guys in the right direction financially as a Mgtow, and hopefully it increases some of your wealth out there. This information applies to the United States. I can't necessarily speak for other countries. I want to see my Mgtow brothers reach financial empowerment, wealth, at very least security. Now, most people, they grow old, they don't save their money, and they don't have a pot to piss in when it's time to retire. Then they're hoping that Social Security will be there when it's time. I have a lot of questions about that. Hopefully, at least for a few of you, this video will change your life a little bit financially and get you guys on the right track. Follow my advice, and I guarantee you're going to be better off for it. I don't give out advice if I'm not following it myself. Number one, the first thing that I recommend for all men, all Mgtow, is that if you do not have an emergency fund already, you need to start building one, brothers. And the emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months, should cover 3 to 6 months of your expenses to survive. I would do part of it in silver. Really recommend, guys, stack your silver right now. This is a good time. I know you guys have heard this from me a couple times, but you know, 2 or 3 grand worth of silver, something that's easy to sell if you had to, but something that's not sitting around that you're going to spend so easily, is a great idea. You really, at very minimum 3 months, preferably 6 months, need to have some sort of emergency fund that you do not touch, you do not spend, in case something bad happens, you lose your job or whatever. I would go 5 grand minimum on that, maybe 2,500 in silver and 2,500 in cash. I don't recommend gold so much because it's harder to move. I think of investing as long-term for me. I'm not one of these short-term guys. But anyway, get that emergency fund going, brothers. It's never too soon. Your next goal, once you have your emergency fund in place, become debt-free except for your home. Now, some of you guys, a home is not, it's not an issue. You don't have one, whatever. But you want to become debt-free. And this is how you want to do it. I recommend not going to debt in the first place, if at all possible. Don't abuse your credit cards, brothers. But if you are in debt, this is what I suggest you do. You can wipe out your debts very quickly if you follow my advice here. You want to contact your credit card companies. Hopefully you don't have more than 1 or 2 with outstanding balances. And put together about 1/3 of what you owe, okay? Say you owe $9,000 on your credit card. Save up, put together $3,000, okay? Next, you contact your credit card company by phone, and you basically tell them, you know, hey, you've got this amount. Say you've got $3,000, to cover the $9,000 in debt. Say, listen, I just came into $3,000, for example. I'm not going to come into any money for a very long time, but if you guys want to settle now, I'm making the offer. If they accept, you must get that in writing. You tell them, listen, okay, I will accept that if you will, if we call it even. Get it in writing. When it comes time to pay it off in a cashier's check. Do not give them access to your bank account because they will take more. Okay, and like I said, I cannot stress enough, you must get that in writing that they're willing to settle for that amount. Otherwise, they'll play stupid with you. You'll send the $3,000 and then they'll contact you a week later and say, oh, where's the other $6,000? If you owed them $9,000, for example. So get that in writing. So many people are not ruthless enough, and they have this attitude that they have to pay off the whole thing. No, you don't. You get a free ride, brothers. Okay, but you must be ruthless. They will be ruthless with you, so you must be ruthless with them. You have to have it in writing. Next item is you must develop good credit. Go to a bank and ask for a secured credit card. You can look it up online as to who has them. Normally for a couple $100 or whatever, they'll give you one if you need some place to start. This is for you young Mgtow brothers. When you get your secured credit card, do not abuse it. Buy little innocuous items, pencils, bubble gum, whatever it is, multiple items every month, but make sure you pay on time always. Then your card will say, it doesn't say how much, it'll just say paid, 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 and it'll be outstanding for your credit. Your next move, brothers, here's some outstanding advice on cleaning up your credit. If you've messed it up already and you've got negatives on there, there are 3 credit bureaus, okay? You have Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to contact all 3 of them by phone. You want to challenge items, not all at once, okay, but challenge items individually and say, no, that's an error. I don't know what this charge is about. You call up, you challenge them, and if they will contact that company, and if the company does not respond, that you owe money to, if they don't respond within a month, that negative gets kicked off of your credit. So if you do this over a span of time, over maybe a year, and you have multiple negatives on there, you can get stuff kicked off and really improve your credit that way. But you got to make the effort. A lot of people don't call up and make the effort, or they don't know that they can do this. And you have to call all 3 companies too, because you can have a negative stay on, say, Equifax, for example, but that'll be off of TransUnion. You got to do it with all 3 companies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. A beautiful thing is going to happen for you as a Mgtow, brothers. You are not going to have to spend $10,000 on a wedding ring. You're not going to have to spend $20,000 on a wedding. You're not going to have to spend $5,000 on a honeymoon. You're not going to have to spend on a wife who is going to lunch every day on your dime. So what do? You spend that money on yourself, brothers. Treat yourselves once in a while. Now you diversify your income. Now, to me, real estate is always the best investment. Okay, I'm a real estate guy, so I'm going to be biased towards that. But to diversify your income, I'd recommend mutual funds. You go with a Roth IRA, and you can go with a regular mutual fund. Now, I like a combination of a top-down and bottom-up approach to investing. Look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. If all of your money is parked in a bank account right now, you are doing it wrong, brother. Well, Mayor, what companies do you like? I like Vanguard. Check them out. So instead of parking money in your bank account and making nothing on it, okay, diversify your income. Get that $10,000 that you would have spent on a wedding ring and get that into a mutual fund. Okay, a no-load mutual fund. Not a load, a no-load mutual fund. If $10,000 is too rich for your blood, they will often let you in at $2,500. If that's too rich for your blood, some of them will let you in for $500. But it's time to get started on this, brothers. Many of you are young. If you follow this advice, it could be the difference between living the second half of your life very well and struggling for the vast majority of your life. Man, I am giving you guys some gems in this video, brothers. Your next strategy, okay, as soon as possible, and I started doing this in my very early 20s, is you need to start setting aside 15% of your income towards retirement, towards the second half of your life. Now, whatever you make, 15% should go into your mutual fund, should go to silver, should go to cash, your savings. Make it happen. If that's too much for you now, start with 10%. Or just to get your feet wet, start with 5%. But really, 15% should be the goal. For me, my very early 20s, it was 10%, and then I ramped it up to 15%. You will achieve great wealth if you do this, brothers, and you have a semi-reasonable job or income. It is never too soon to start saving, brothers. I was living a Mgtow lifestyle before I knew what Mgtow was. When I got into my first home, my goal was not to fill it with some woman, let some woman live with me so she could run up my electricity bill and whatnot. The first thing I did when I purchased my new home, my first home, was to fill those damn rooms with renters. You want to see your coin multiply? Be willing to do that. Be willing to sacrifice early on. Test the market out. You could try Craigslist and other places and see how much your rooms will rent for. Fill those rooms up, and now you're living free. Now you're making money. Now you're letting other people's money work for you. Let them pay your mortgage. My next instinct was to have a guest house built in the backyard and have that sucker rented out. Today I own several houses, and I'm doing that to this day. I'm doing that with every single house I own except for the one I live in the Hollywood Hills. That I don't need other people living in, obviously. But every other house, I'm still doing it. It's like a hotel. It's a beautiful thing. If you're not as drastic as I am, at very least, start saving 10% of your income and putting it towards investing in retirement. 15% is ideal. Your first car, and probably even your second car, should not be a new fancy car off the lot. It should be something reliable, used. Let somebody else take the hit, okay, on the purchase of a new car initially. When you become rich a little later, then you can buy the fancy cars. I love fancy cars. But early on, I sacrificed a little bit in my very early 20s. And my channel's a free channel, so I'm not going to be anyone's financial advisor, but I'm giving you guys some pretty damn good gems right here. Most people who achieve a modicum of success do not really tell you in depth how they did it. I'm telling you guys stuff that I would tell a good friend of mine. Now, when you want to get into your first home or your first place, you negotiate hard, okay? You be ruthless. Never pay full asking price or even close to it, okay? This is my bread and butter right here, okay? You find multiple places that you like, and you offer somewhere in the 70% of what they're asking, 72%, 75%, and you find somebody that needs to sell, and you make it happen. So many people out there pay way more than they have to for a home. If you are cutthroat and you're patient, you can get a great price, all right? Never pay too much for those large ticket items like that. Now, finally, something that never seems to be discussed in the Mgtow community: what do you do when you get old? Who is going to take care of you? A lot of men are under the assumption that their wife will still be around if they get married, and that the wife will take care of them. Don't plan on that. Most guys will have a wife who is still taking money from them, and they screw themselves badly when they get older. See, every one of you is going to have a different story. I personally have a niece, a nephew, and a sister who know which side their bread is buttered on, and I know they're going to take care of me well when I'm older because they're going to want a piece of my wealth. Now, when it comes to leaving your wealth to somebody else, never bother with a will. It's going to be a big pain for them to get what you're leaving them. Go with a living trust, okay? A living trust, and whoever's best to you in your old age, that's who's going to get the most. That's how it's going to be for me. However, when you're older, when a Mgtow gets older, assume, like me, I will assume that nobody will be there for me, okay? You need to assume the same thing. And what you need to do for yourselves, Mgtow brothers, if you're an older Mgtow right now, or if you want to think for your future, when you guys turn about 60 years old, you need to, and I'm going to do the same thing, you need to look into long-term care insurance when you're about 60 years old. Make sure you're taken care of entirely in your old age. Look into that long-term care insurance for when you turn 60, give or take, depending upon your health. That's for if you can't walk anymore, you can't feed yourself anymore, you can't bathe yourself anymore, you're taken care of. All this money that you saved throughout your life, okay, I know long-term care insurance is a little expensive, but you'll have plenty of money for it at the time, and it will be well worth it. You'll be way richer than if you had some wife, or if you, even more so, if you wound up divorced, which chances are good if you got married that would happen. All right, new things to think about for many of you today. Make it happen, brothers. This is your advanced warning. Don't regret that you didn't do these things later on in life. It's never too early or late to start making these improvements. Don't miss my next Mgtow wealth building video in the future. You're going to like this title. How to make money from thin air. I'll get into more detail on how I built my wealth. Got a couple bonuses for you. A couple of stock tips for the video are public storage, PSA, and Family Dollar, FDO. These are long-term picks, brothers. Long-term picks. I play the bull market at your own risk, brothers. Well, you're getting a lot of new stuff on this video. Another thing I'm going to do on my videos here and there, I'm going to do the life hack of the video. The life hack of this video is this. Try not to use your cell phone while it's plugged in because it's killing your battery. Next item, if you charge your cell phone in airplane mode, your cell phone will charge faster. And if you buy a charger with a thicker cord rather than the one that usually comes with it, it'll also charge faster than the stock cord that came with your cell phone. Duracell makes a great aftermarket cell phone charger. The thing charges my phone very quickly. This is the mayor of Mgtow. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Manpower and Mgtow. Top of the food chain.